Vietnam veteran of this brigade here at Fort Campbell.
That's right. I was in the 3rd Brigade, 3rd Battalion, Bravo Company.
What is this the first time you've been back to one of these reunions, or?
No, I've been coming down since 1999. I guess I've missed 2 years since then.
What does it mean to you that Fort Campbell continues to honor your all's legacy and what you did at Hamburger Hill?
Well, it means a lot to us veterans. We get treated with great respect here, and the people do everything they can for us, and we love it.
What's it like coming back? Does it sort of bring back good memories, bad memories, or?
I guess I can go either way, for depending who you are. But good memories for me. But I never trained here, so I trained in Fort Dix and Fort Hope.
Right.
So
these young men are obviously still fighting in war, so they very much can relate, I'm sure, to some experiences, but probably nothing like what you faced back in 1969.
yeah, I would say probably train is more different than anything else. But yeah, but getting shot at any place isn't good.
What can you remember from Hamburger Hill? Is that a name befitting for what that experience was like?
Pretty much, yes. The name, I think, pretty much means the way we feel about it. Too many people got chewed up.
And it was a 12-day campaign. Describe the conditions.
Very hot, humid, jungle, triple canopy jungle.
Muddy.
Yeah, we had rain, mud, storms pushed us back a couple of times on our assaults. We just couldn't. We couldn't even crow up the hill anymore.
Wow. And the enemy was just dug in, right?
Yep. We were fighting dug in positions, and different than most of the time what we did in Vietnam. Usually you'd stumble on moving, or they would be attacking you better, so you were in a little bit better position in making an assault.
Right. You know, Vietnam is sort of sometimes seen as the war that people want to forget, but it's nice, I think, that here 3rd Brigade remembers you year after year when they're not deployed to come back and do this.
That's true. And we do appreciate the support we get here, and we do appreciate our troops that are going out now.
Right. And you look forward to these opportunities?
Oh yeah, love this, getting down here and get a chance to do something. It's a lot of fun. Get with the troops.
Great. How old are you now, John?
62.
And where do you live?
Muncie, Pennsylvania.
Actually, our home is in Mexico,
Is that where you live now?
but our residence is in Santa, Idaho.
Great. And is this your first time back to one of these reunions as well, or?
No, this is my second time.
Second time. Just what excites you about coming back here, getting a chance to do this?
Oh, just the camaraderie, the meeting up with old friends, getting to see the guys that you haven't seen in a year, and talking about we were there.
Yeah. After 40 years, is there still a tight brotherhood?
There is. 42 years, yes, there is.
And is that just something that's forged even stronger when you're in a wartime situation?
The brotherhood that we have is forged in blood. So I would say that it's certainly a lot stronger than a lot of other fraternities.
Right. You know, I was doing a lot of reading about Hamburger Hill before I came up here, just because I didn't know very much about it. And, you know, I'm sure textbooks can paint it either which way, or leave out details and include details. But what's sort of your memory of that? When you think about it, what words come to mind?
Well, wow. The time leading up to Hamburger Hill and actually doing the assault, I lost a lot of good friends, and this is a time of healing for most of us. It's a time to get back together and maybe kill some of those demons that have been hiding in dark places.
Right. Is it cool that the Rakkasans are still doing their thing and
I think
kicking butt and taking names?
and I think it's wonderful to know that the heritage that you followed with is continuing on. It's a wonderful feeling to see. We were never this young, but it's a wonderful feeling to see that these young people are carrying on that tradition.
That's right.
And obviously, where's home for you?
My home is in Helotes, Texas, which is a little town outside of San Antonio.
Great. So have you come back to one of these reunions before? Or?
Everyone I've ever won since they started them.
Wow. You know, I think it's pretty neat that 3rd Brigade and the Rakkasans still honor your all's legacy year after year, as much as they can in this wartime environment. But what's it like for you?
Oh, to come back here is like to come home. To be around the active duty soldiers is just one of the greatest privileges we could have. And then, of course, being with each other again. You know, we ate the same dirt, went through the same experiences, and it's just, well, it's a privilege to do that.
Right. And how many of you can show up this year? Do you have any idea how many are coming?
We have about 60 of us.
Wow.
About 60 of us. And next year it'll probably be higher. You know, we had, everybody's having gas problems, and we had a number of them couldn't get across the Mississippi.
What is it, how do 60 people, from a time 42 years ago, continue to reunite? How strong is this brotherhood, and why is it so strong?
It's strong, I think, because of shared experience. That was such a horrific battle, and to have survived it, to have known the people who did not survive it, it pulls you together in a brotherhood that's almost impossible to really describe accurately.
Right. And I was asking Doug earlier, just kind of when he thinks about Hamburger Hill, the words that come to his mind, and I'll ask you the same questions. What words come to your mind when you think back to those 12 days in May?
That was the toughest. This is not my first time at the show. I was a 2-year veteran. And this was the absolute toughest battle I had been in. And also courage. The courage of every one of those guys who broke that wood line for 10 straight days and didn't back off. That's what it means to me.
And 3rd Brigade still has that courage today.
Absolutely. They do. They are Rakkasans.
One of the team seniors down here at the Air Assault School. On behalf of Major General John F. Campbell, Commanding General 101st Airborne Division Air Assault, and Command Sergeant Major Scott C. Schroeder, Division Command Sergeant Major 101st Airborne Division Air Assault. I'd like to welcome you, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sabalauski Air Assault School. Sabalauski Air Assault School, obviously we teach air assault. We teach a lot of other courses down here that some folks may not have heard of before. We also teach the Pathfinder course. We also teach Rappel Master. We teach Fries and Spies Master. If you're not familiar with Fries and Spies Master, it's the fast rope insertion extraction system. And Spies is the special patrol infiltration exfiltration system. On top of all that, we also have what we call IRT, our individual readiness training. And that is for soldiers who basically missed the initial deployment. They came in early PCS to Fort Campbell. We bring them down here for approximately 3 weeks, get them trained up on some of the things that they may experience in theater, and then they end up deploying and going back and getting with their unit once they get into either Iraq or Afghanistan. Along with that, we also have a new program that we're running down here. It's the Eagle Marksmanship Academy. We're just taking soldiers out there, showing them more advanced ways and to fire their weapon and be more effective in firing their weapon. With the Air Assault School itself, Air Assault School is 10.5 days long. The first day that we have is what we call day 0. Obviously, with the division deployed, our numbers have been kind of low, but as soldiers are returning in, we're seeing our numbers increase significantly. Throughout the winter, we were averaging about 60 to 80 students per class, and then now we're averaging well over 100. And I've seen it in the summertime where we'll actually pull 240 students through those arches on 0 day. Okay? Day 0 day is just a way for us instructors to kind of weed out the weak, find out who's got faint hearts and weak minds. Okay? We just went through one of our 0 days yesterday, matter of fact. Okay, we bring the soldiers in, they'll be staged outside in the parking lot by unit, and we start pulling through the arches at 05. As they come through the arches, they'll come in, we'll bring them in, half dozen, 10 at a time maybe, and they'll run through our infamous gauntlet. Our instructors are standing by, and initially it looks like everything's just going to be peachy. And as they run through the gauntlet, our instructors start screaming and yelling and tell these kids to do all sorts of push-ups and all sorts of crazy calisthenics. All right? They'll then go over here to the ropes that you see where all the rucksacks and salt sacks are stashed right now. We'll form them up there. We'll take them into the classroom, and we'll basically give them a standards brief. We'll let them know what our expectations are of them and the things that they can and can't get away with, things that are allowed and not allowed down here at the Air Assault School. Once they do that, we'll bring them back outside, and then we'll march them down to our obstacle course. I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit about the obstacle course now while we're in the shade. All right, we're not down there at the O course and getting bit up by mosquitoes and standing around in the heat. Our obstacle course consists of 9 obstacles. 2 of those obstacles are mandatory, and the 2 mandatory obstacles are the tough one and confidence climb. And you'll see both of those obstacles once we walk down to our O course. Once we get them down at the O course, we have them down there in our big gravel pit. Again, we kind of scuff them up to see who's got weak parts and who has strong minds or not, and see who wants to quit, see who wants to take it. That usually lasts about 15 or 20 minutes. Get them nice and warmed up before they do their O course. Once they start their O course, again, 9 obstacles. Have 1 instructor that will take a squad, however big it may be, through each individual obstacle. Now your mandatory obstacles, actually all obstacles, you have 2 attempts at each obstacle. If you fail the first attempt, you have up to 5 minutes to sit back, watch other students try to successfully negotiate the obstacle, and then you get your second attempt. Okay. Now on the mandatory obstacles, if you fail that second attempt, then you're going to be dropped from the course. You just can't negotiate that obstacle. Our non-mandatory obstacles, it works pretty much the same way, except if you fail that first obstacle, we have a roster tag that we give you as you come through the arches. We'll take that roster tag from you. If you move on and you do not successfully negotiate another non-mandatory obstacle on that second attempt, we'll ask for your roster tag. At that point, they won't have one, so that's how we identify that they have failed that second obstacle. They'll put on their TC or patrol cap, and then one of the seniors or one of the ranking individuals that are down there, first sergeant Mudgett, the chops, myself, we'll walk around and we'll start policing these individuals up. We'll bring them back up to the front of the O course and hand them over to our operations cell. All right, and that way they can do all the administrative stuff that goes along with dropping the soldier. Once that's complete, after the O course is complete, we march them back up here in between the break area and our tower, and we stretch them out a little bit. We have them change into some running shoes, and we have them put their reflective belt on. They have to complete a 2-mile run in tennis shoes, uniform or ACU bottoms, and usually a tan t-shirt depending on the weather, and your reflective belt. They have a total of 18 minutes to run 2 miles. And keep in mind, they're down at the obstacle course, and we like to smoke them up a little bit, get them scuffed up a little bit. So by the time they get up here for the 2-mile run, then they're probably feeling the effects of some of the calisthenics and some of the obstacles. Once the 2-mile run is complete, we'll bring them right back here in the general area again, and then we'll conduct what we call our day 0 inspection. Our day 0 inspection in the summertime, it's pretty small packing list. We basically make sure that they have a uniform that has all their patches, their ID cards, their ID tags, canteen. We have them take their patrol cap, put it in their pocket. We make sure that their running shoes are good and serviceable, and we make sure that they have that nice bright yellow reflective belt. Other than that, when we get done with that, we take them inside again, kind of give them a break, and we go over what we call the 1-0 brief, and which we conducted this morning. Okay, the 1-0 brief is basically we go over every piece of equipment that they are going to be required to bring in on a daily basis. And we show them a PowerPoint presentation and a diagram, and we really get in depth of how we want all these items laid out, how they're supposed to be folded up nice and neat, what is authorized, what is not authorized, how it's supposed to be placed, and all the students that come in here ask a million questions about, is this okay, Air Assault Sergeant? Is this okay, Air Assault Sergeant? We have to go through a lot of that, but we really go in depth with it as far as how they lay out their equipment. And what will happen is they'll lay their equipment out in front of them, they will stand behind it. While they're standing behind it, they will be in whatever body armor that they wear at their unit. They'll be in their body armor with their ID tags out, They'll have a flashlight on the right-hand side. They'll have their assault pack or their rucksack on their back, and then they'll have their helmet in their left hand, which also will contain their ID card, their canteen, and the big thing here at the Air Assault School is we identify the students by roster numbers. So we take a piece of 2-inch masking tape, and they put their stencil, they put their roster number, they stencil it in on the front and on the back, and then also on their Kevlar. So we go through and then we check the students' display, their layout, and that's how they initially earn all their demerits or their minus points. Now, if a student receives minus 40 points, then they're going to be dropped from the course because of excessive spot reports. But every day we try to offer them some sort of work-off point. And you can only imagine what kind of work-off points we have. It's all the stuff that I, Sergeant Kane, and all my instructors do not want to do during the day, so we pass it on to the students. All right. As a matter of fact, they'll be out here this afternoon sweeping all the rocks off the break areas, pulling weeds, raking the tower pit, make sure there's no footprints in the sand, all that kind of good stuff. All right. Once all the students have a real good feeling on the expectations of the cadre and what to expect during that inspection, the last thing that we do is we have what we call the 5 and dime brief. Our 5 and dime brief basically is the platoons. We have 2 platoons here at the Air Assault School. They will line up over here to your back right at the pull-up bars, and they'll conduct 5 pull-ups. And they will go to a dead hang and then all the way back up. And we don't count the repetition until everybody's chin is above the bar, and then everybody comes back down to a dead hang. Once they complete that, then they go over to our elevated beam and they knock out what we like to call 10 air assault push-ups. The thumbs are touching and you got all your gear on and you're elevated. You do your 10 air assault push-ups. At that point, you're going to leave for the day. And most of them by that time are ready to leave for the day. The next morning when they come in, that's when we conduct our 6-mile foot march, which we conducted this morning. Right? The 6-mile foot march consists of soldiers wearing their duty uniform. They'll have some sort of body armor on, and their assault pack or rucksack, which normally weighs about 30-35 pounds, a helmet, and then we have the good old rubber duckies for them to carry. All right, and we basically have the route that we use for the 6-mile foot march is the same route that we use for the 12 miles. We just double it up. So this morning it was a little hot for them, but at the end we finally got everybody in here. So we pulled in about 115 students yesterday, and right now after the O course we're sitting at 99 students. So does anybody have any questions on how day 0 goes? It's a fast-paced, somewhat long day, but a lot of good times. Like I said, that's a chance for us instructors to weed out the people who don't want to be here. They're just not understanding how Army military schools work. All right, yes, ma'am.
Now, did you have to go through all that to become an instructor?
Yes, ma'am. One of the prerequisites to be an instructor here is you have to already be air assault qualified. All right. Right now, we're actually in the hiring phase. Got a few new guys that are coming in. Some of them have been to air assault school not too long ago. Unfortunately for them, or at least they'll say, they actually have to go back through air assault school again with us being their instructors. So it's going to be a good time. That's what we look for when they come through. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yes, is Air Assault School required of all infantry?
It's not required, sir, but here at the 101st Airborne Division, if you do not have your air assault wings, then you're looked down upon. And this is the epitome of 101st Airborne Division. Come down here and get your air assault wings and your air assault balls.
Okay, so you're next.
There are no other questions, ladies and gentlemen. If you'll follow me, we're going to walk down the O course. I've got the soldiers are going to come in the pit, climb up the rope. They're going to go to that top horizontal beam. Then they're going to walk across the ladder, go up the little A-frame portion, climb over the top, and then they're going to climb down the cargo net. Make it 34 feet high because the Army did a study, and apparently 34 feet is when you start losing your sense of depth perception and you start becoming scared of heights. That's the reason we set up at 34 feet. That's it. So you ladies and gentlemen can understand how this obstacle is properly negotiated. Watch this demonstration. Go ahead, demonstrator. Air assault! No time on it all. Air assault! Air assault! All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you probably negotiate the tough one. Okay. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the second obstacle, the incline wall. Air assault! John Hardyway made it look easy. Air assault! All right, we'll continue along. We're just going to do one more. Last obstacle we're going to demonstrate this afternoon is the low belly over. All right, the student is going to step into the pit. They're going to step up on that lower horizontal beam. They can reach up and they can grab the support beams on the side or the top beam just to momentarily gain their balance. But the objective here is to jump up to the top horizontal beam and nothing can come into contact with that top beam before their feet leave the bottom beam. So this is a big gut buster. That's the best way to actually execute the obstacle. But once they do that, they'll put their arms over and they'll rotate over in a heels overhead manner and they'll come down on the mat. But for a better understanding on how to properly execute this obstacle, watch this demonstration. Go ahead, demonstrator. Air assault! Air assault! Again, on Hardyway made it look easy. All right, we were going to show you the fourth one, but it's hot out here. We're going to run back up and take another little quick cold water drink break. And then, what's that?
You can run, we'll walk.
And he retired, a major general in the Army.
I'm retired, yeah.
Tell me
30-some years.
Tell me what it's like to be out here with all these men who served with you in Vietnam.
Oh, I tell you take these people that look at them. Now, what you don't see is what they were then. Big difference. These guys are all matured stuff, and I tell you, greatest fighters in the Army, this crowd right here. Most of us are going on now, and it won't be long before the rest of us go, but they were fine soldiers. You look at these young sergeants here, and there's camouflage and stuff, that's what they look like. Of course, that was a few years ago, that was in the 60s. And I'll tell you, I'm really impressed with the Army nowadays, with the people that's getting in it. It's getting good people all around. It seems to me that we've finally gotten some money to build some training facilities and build some housing facilities and stuff. And boy, back in our day, everything was wooden and falling apart. I jumped into Fort Campbell in 1948 out of Fort Bragg. The grass was up above your knees. The rats and the snakes had occupied the whole thing. All those old wooden barracks are now gone. What a day, what a difference. I tell you, having been stationed here, I can't find half the places they've changed things around so much. But I am really impressed. It's the darndest thing I've ever seen, the way they've changed.
What can you tell me about the courage that these men showed during those days in May back in '69?
You can't describe it. There's no words for it. I get very emotional about it because we lost a lot of kids over there that we didn't want to lose. The other thing that bothers me more than anything is when these kids came home, they were young kids. You got to realize these guys are 50s, 60s now. I'm in my 80s. And you got to realize when they came home, they were spit on and cursed at and rocks thrown at them and stuff. The American public's finally getting on board and realizing it's not the soldier's fault. He was sent to fight, and that's what he did. And, they get a lot better reception, I hope, nowadays. It seems that way.
Yes, sir.
I remember when I came home my first time on a litter, they spit on me. So,
Do you mind if I ask you, so you know, there were hundreds of men wounded during the Hamburger Hill battle, and you were one of them.
yeah,
By friendly fire, I understand, but you stayed through the whole campaign.
I wasn't wounded. I got in the way of somebody shooting at me 5 times. So, ask these kids here, they don't even want to stand near me. I didn't want to stand near myself. But yeah, we had, I'd say probably 30-40% of our casualties was friendly fire. Not intentional. Lead's flying around, people get excited, they make mistakes. And some of the kids in the helicopter gunships made a mistake, and some of the boys in the artillery firing over our heads fired a little short. They didn't mean to. Then we had one Air Force incident. It was just an ordinary, common mistake. Nothing intended or anything, just Mother Nature lets mistakes happen. That's what happened.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it very much. Pleasure
We
to meet you, sir.
didn't do too bad. I think the battalion had 120 wounded, 26 killed. We counted 1,200 some bodies on the other side, so I thought we came out pretty good.
You did all right.